Attention bowlers, we're just about to get started. Welcome back to Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire for another thrilling Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. This is a doubleheader today. This is Trafton at Sarah Wright and Jordan Britton at Craig Powers. This match format is 5 strings and 14 points up for grabs, 2 points for string, 4 for total pinfall, with ties splitting points. It's good as always to have you along with us. This match was live streamed on Sunday, December 29th, 2024, and available for rewatching anytime upon the conclusion of this match. For those interested, I'd like to highlight a few things. First, this broadcast should have subtitles and live captioning enabled, so if you enjoyed this feature, please feel free to enable it in the controls below. If you're watching this broadcast on YouTube, the transcript feature will also be available. Next, throughout the match, I'll describe the play-by-play action and provide up-to-the-minute scoring to the best of my ability. Keep an eye on the unofficial scoreboard on your screen. It's here for the benefit of the broadcast. While the bowlers maintain the official book record separately, scores may be subject to review or correction. I may occasionally pause to verify scores if things seem out of sync. I appreciate your patience when that happens. If you're watching this on YouTube later on, there may be times where I may include notes in the description if I catch scoring errors in post-production, so please be sure to check those out. I'll do my best to add chapters to the YouTube description so you can choose to jump to certain points in the games if that is your preference. If you're new to the ACST or candlepin bowling in general, I'd like to extend a warm welcome to you and hope you enjoy this match. If you are a returning viewer, welcome back. Your continued viewership is greatly appreciated. If you like this content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel for more exciting matches. If you have any questions or suggestions, please let me know in the comments. That is Sarah Wright starting out on the right lane of our 2 lanes today, lane 6, with a not-so-headpin shot, a left side half Worcester. Meanwhile, Trafton on the right side connects with the headpin with a 7-10 drop. Sarah Wright is on the right on her second ball with no spare. She leaves the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 9, while Trafton is left with the 7 and the 10. Trafton for a spare shot, and he's just a little bit off. He's left with the 7 and the 10 for a 10 box. Sarah Wright for a 10 box. She'll take an 8 to start out. That's Sarah Wright. Oops. If I could put that in the right spot. Excuse me. And that's an 8 box for Trafton as well. So, dueling 8 boxes starting out here on lanes 5 and 6 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. And Sarah Wright is off to the left of the headpin. Just a little off, dropping 7. And Trafton is off to the left as well. And Sarah Wright's second ball for the spares just tails off a little bit, isn't quite on target. Neither bowler on the headpin for their first shots. And Trafton is off as well, he leaves the 10 pin and only the 10 pin on the deck. And Sarah Wright will clean up the 1 and the 3 pin for a 10 box. Trafton seeks to follow with the 10 pin on the deck, and he will follow it up as well. Both bowlers tied right now, 18 after 2 apiece, 8 box in the first, 10 box in the second. That is confirmed on the automatic score system at Leda Lanes, provided by Cubic at AMF, recently upgraded from Pro Score Plus early last year, or this year. It's the end of 2024. Excuse me. It's been a long year. Early in 2024 was when the score system was swapped out. That's Sarah Wright with a headpin shot and a split, a 7 drop. Trafton with a 7 drop of his own. And Sarah bids for the spare, but leaves 1 on the deck. And both bowlers, without marks, still working on staying in sync with one another. Sarah will first start out with a 9. Trafton all the while, working on a 9 or a 10 box. And he'll take a 9 as well. Our bowlers are still tied, making my job very easy. It's 27 after 3 for both Sarah Wright and Trafton right now. Here on the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour on this Sunday morning at Leda Lanes. Well, it's more Sunday afternoon now, 9 minutes past noon. Sarah Wright opens up with a curveball to the left and attempts to tail to the left, but it is a little off to the right with a 7 drop, leaving the 1-2-7 on the deck. And Win Trafton's dropping 9, leaving the 4 on the deck. Sarah Wright will go for the 2 and leave the 1 and the 7 on the deck with no mark. Trafton all the while. He'll take a spare of his own. And this is where the scores diverge here in the 4th. And Sarah for the 10-box conversion, but she leaves both on the table for an 8, 35 after 4 for Sarah, and 37 and a bonus for Win Trafton. Talking about Sarah Wright, her season record is 54-58 with 8 matches played. That's a .93 win-loss ratio. When she's at home, she's 24-18 with 3 matches played, 1.33 win-loss ratio. When she's away, that's a 30-40 record, .75. Sarah Wright drops 6. And Win Trafton drops 6 of his own. But neither were on the head pin. Sarah is off target. Leaves the 1 and the 2. And Win Trafton is just off the head pin as well. Both bowlers just missing their spare shots. Sarah cleans up on the 1 and the 2 for a 10. 45 after 3 is confirmed for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton, nice 1-2 pocket shot, but he'll take a 9 for 52 after 5. And that will be the end of the first half of this first game of 5 for our bowlers today. Win Trafton's at 52 after 5, and Sarah Wright is at 45 after 5. Win Trafton up in the game by 7. That is your score update for our first pair of 2. But we're going to be saying hello to our second pair in our doubleheader match today at the ACST. This is going to be Jordan Britton and Craig Powers that are just getting ready to start bowling here. It's going to be Craig Powers on your right, and Jordan Britton on the left. It's always fun figuring out which side they're gonna begin on. Jordan Britton on the left in the maroon shirt, Craig Powers on the right. Craig Powers opens up not on the head pin, but he's on the head pin for the second ball. Jordan Britton is on the head pin with a split. That's the 4-10. Craig Powers on his second ball doesn't get a spare, but leaves the 9. Britton doesn't get the spare, he leaves the 10. And Powers will clean up for a 10 box. All the while, Jordan Britton will take a 9. So we'll talk about our away bowler, Craig Powers. Record is 72-40 with 8 matches played, 1.80 win-loss ratio. When he's home, he's 38-18 with 4 matches played. That's a 2.11 win-loss. When he's away, 34-22 with a 1.55 win-loss. So Craig Powers isn't on the head pin, and neither is Jordan Britton. Both bowlers are with half Worcester shots. And Craig Powers connects with the head pin, and the head pin is the only one that goes down, believe it or not. Jordan Britton is off the left with a drop on the 7 pin. And Craig Powers is still off a little bit. Jordan Britton is also off a little bit. So that's going to be, my goodness, a 5 for Craig and a 6 for Jordan. So that's 15 after 2 for Craig Powers and 15 after 2 for Jordan Britton. That's a headpin shot for Craig Powers. 8 drop, leaves the 6 and the 10. Jordan Britton also connects with the head pin, but he's less lucky. He leaves the 7, the 5, and the 9 on the deck. Wow, and Craig Powers with an alrighty then. Had a shot that by all rights really should have gone, but surprisingly did not. He's left with Just a hanger of a 10 box opportunity. Jordan Britton on the head pin on the object pin a little bit light, leaves 2 other pins on the deck. And Powers will take a 10. And that'll be an 8 box for Jordan Britton. So let's talk about Jordan Britton on the left in the maroon shirt. He's 70-42 for the season. He's got a home record of 38-32, an away record of 32-10, 1.19 win-loss at home, and a 3.2 win-loss when he's away. Craig Powers on your right drops 7, leaving the 8, the 6, and the 10. Jordan Britton leaves the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 10 on the deck, and Craig Powers, there's a spare by Craig Powers. And Jordan Britton will punch 1 and leave 1. He's left with the 2, the 4, and the 10 on the deck. He's shooting for a 10 box with a 7 box minimum. He's going to punch 1 more out for an 8. That puts Jordan Britton at 31 after 4. And Craig Powers has had to confirm 35 and a bonus after 4. So far, the only bowlers with spares are Win Trafton and Craig Powers. 1 spare apiece. Everyone is almost two across the board in terms of head pins and splits, except for Sarah Wright, who has no splits. But Craig Powers just threw another split of his own. That is a 5 fill on a spare. And Jordan Britton drops 7, leaves the 1, the 3, and the 6. Craig Powers just a little bit off, but he gets some sidewall action to take 2 and leave 2, leaving the 3 and the 10 on the deck. Jordan Britton will take a nice, pretty spare. Nice layup there. Craig Powers to finish the 5th box and finish the half. He's going to take an 8. And that will be the end of the first half for our second pair of bowlers today. So the lead is 7 across both pairs. Craig Powers up by 7, 48 to Jordan Britton's 41, 5 boxes into the first game. Sarah Wright at 45, Win Trafton at 52. The lead again is 7. And Sarah Wright currently is winning the split lottery with no splits. Everyone else has between 2 and 3 splits apiece. So that's currently the story here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. Let's say hello to Win Trafton on the right this time. And Sarah Wright on the left, which is always the most fun thing to say. The least confusing thing to say. Win Trafton not with a headpin shot. He's got a right side half Worcester and then some. And Sarah Wright dropped 9. But Win Trafton will just poke 1 more out, leaving the 1, the 2, the 4, the 7, and the 8. And Sarah Wright plays the wood, but plays it too much to the left and leaves the 2 pin on the deck. That's currently where we reside. Win Trafton shooting for a 10 box and a 5 box minimum, and unfortunately, it's going to be a 5 for Win Trafton. Sarah Wright all the while. She was trying to go for a miss the second, get the third situation, but she'll take a 9. That puts one moment. Sarah Wright is at 54 after 6. Win Trafton's at 57 after 6. Yes. My apologies. I just got the scores backwards there for a second. Just was double, triple checking on the electronic scoreboard down there. Win Trafton is on the head pin that time. Leaves the bail, the inverted check mark on the left side, and Sarah Wright will take a half Worcester on the left. Sarah Wright's shot is the dreaded half Worcester. When you punch out the 2 and the 8 or the 3 and the 9, that's a half Worcester, and a quarter Worcester is if you take just the 2 or the 3. Win Trafton nearly takes a spare. He leaves the 5. And Sarah Wright completes the trip to Worcester. She gets the left and then gets the right. That's a round trip, free of charge. Must be cheap tickets today or something. And that's a 10 box for Win Trafton. Meanwhile, taking out the 5 pin. Sarah Wright's got the 1, the 5, the 4, the 6, the 7, and the 10. And she'll connect with the head pin and take a grade out for rather skibbity first 2 balls. And she'll take an 8 box. That's 62 for Sarah Wright. And 67 for Win Trafton at the end of the 7th box. No strikes thrown yet. Sarah Wright's the only one yet to throw a mark so far. When Trafton leads off, he's just off to the left of the head pin. Drops 5, leaves the 4 horsemen right side and the 8 pin. Sarah Wright all the while has dropped 6, and that is a split for Sarah Wright. When Trafton will fire first. It's on the head pin. Takes 2, leaves 3. Sarah Wright with the 4, the 6, the 3, and the 7. She'll take the 6 and leave everything else. Trafton will take 9. It's a great out by Win Trafton, all things considered. Sarah Wright will take 9 as well. 71 after 8 for Sarah Wright. 76 after 8 for Win Trafton, a difference of 5. This is a close match. Talking about Win Trafton, he has a season record of 47-79 with 9 matches played, a .59 win-loss ratio. At home, he's 14-42. Away, he's 33-37. He's bowled 4 matches at home and 5 matches away. Win Trafton wasn't on the head pin there. He drops 6, 1-3-7-9, and Sarah Wright's got the bucket of 5 on the left. Head pin shot, but frustrating returns. Win Trafton fires first. He's on the head pin, and unfortunately, not much to say about that one. The head pin just kind of gets cast aside. And Sarah Wright's just very lightly on the bucket. And I know what she was trying to do. She just didn't want to try not to punch, but she left 2 on the deck. Trafton's shooting for a 10. He'll take a sleeper out for an 8 box. 84 after 9. Sarah Wright will sail through the 2 goalposts for an 8 box. That puts Sarah Wright at 79 after 9. Win Trafton at 84 after 9. It's a difference of 5 between our 2 bowlers once again. Just a small difference between a box could mean the game for one of our 2 bowlers here. Every pin counts, as we say in the Worlds. And Trafton fires first. He drops 6. He's not on the head pin. He leaves the 4 horsemen right side, the 1, the 3, the 6, and the 10. Sarah Wright's response. She's on the 1-2 pocket. She drops 7. That was a nice head pin shot. She leaves the right side diamond, the 5-6-3. Win Trafton shooting at the 1-3-6-10. Sarah Wright shooting at the 5-6-3. Trafton plays the head pin. He's just off by a little bit. He leaves the 3 and the 10. Sarah Wright shooting at the 5-6-3. For the spare shot, that has to be big, but she just misses connecting with the 5 pin on the kickover. Again, it was a difference of 5 in the last box here. So every pin counts. Win Trafton will conclude with an 8 for 92 and 10. Sarah Wright will take a 10 box, and so Win Trafton will just eke out the first game at 92-89, a difference of 3. And that is the game of Candlepin Bowling, folks. The difference of just basically inches or small quantities. Every pin counts. 92 for Win Trafton and 89 for Sarah Wright. That is confirmed. And Jordan Britton leads off. And he drops 8. So Jordan Britton took us 8 on a spare. Craig Powers leaves the 9 on the deck. And Jordan Britton will take a 9, leaving the 8 on the deck. Craig Powers with a 8 box that he went to war for. Just checking the scores. Craig Powers is at may need to double check a score. Okay, correction. Craig Powers is at 57 after 6. Jordan Britton is at 58 after 6. It's always fun keeping up with an electronic scoreboard down on the lanes. So that's a headpin shot for Jordan Britton. 8 drop. Craig Powers wasn't on the headpin. And Britton is just off a little bit. He leaves the 4 and the 7 on the deck. No spare. And Craig Powers is off to the right, hits the wood out front, but leaves 2 pins on the deck because it wasn't on the object pin. Jordan Britton will punch 1 and leave 1 for 9, 67 and 7 for Jordan Britton. Craig Powers will punch 1 for a 9 as well. 67 after 7 for Jordan Britton and 66 after 7 for Craig Powers. We are back in sync with the automatic scoreboard down there. Jordan Britton has a season average of 108.4 with a home average of 108.3 and a away average of 108.5. That's Jordan Britton with a split, a 5 drop, 4, 6, 2, 7, 10, and Craig Powers is just to the right of the headpin, drops 7. Craig Powers has a season average of 103.05 with a home average of 105.7 and an away average of 100.4. Jordan Britton just misses his spare opportunity, takes the 4 and the 7 and leaves everything else. Craig Powers also sails off to the right, leaves the 1, the 2, and the 4. No mark for either bowler. Jordan Britton will take 2 and leave 1 for a 9 box. Craig Powers is shooting for a 10 box with a 7 box minimum, and he'll take the 1 and the 2 and leave the 3 for a 9. That's 76 after 8 for Jordan Britton and 75 after 8 for Craig Powers. That's a difference of 1 between these 2 bowlers. The first game is just very, very tight margins between our matchups so far, which is good. That's what we like to see in the ACST. Jordan Britton has a high single of 140 this season. He has a high series of 593. Craig Powers has a high single of 151 and a high series of 581. Jordan Britton was on the headpin. Craig Powers was not. And Craig Powers leaves the 1, 2, 4, 8. Jordan Britton on the second ball, he leaves the 3 and the 6 on the deck. Craig Powers misses a spare. He was around in the vicinity of the object pins, but just couldn't get the pins to fall. It's a 10 box for Jordan Britton. That puts him at 86 and 9. Craig Powers could get to 85 and 9 with that 10, and he will. It's a difference of 1. Jordan Britton has the game by 1 so far. So it's going to come down to 1 box here. Once again, just like between Trafton and Sarah Wright, it comes down to this final box in the first game to see who takes the first 2 points. Jordan Britton will punch hard right down the center with a split. A spread eagle with a talon. And Craig Powers will lemon drop. That's a lemon drop on the 6 pin. So a lemon drop is when you punch out the 4 or the 6 pin. It's a $1 donation to Candlepins for Cancer per occurrence. Jordan Britton takes a few more out, and Craig Powers is on the object pin in the object pocket that time. He takes everything but the 10 for the spare shot. And Jordan Britton is trying to make 3 take 2, but fortunately he's just a little off target, so he'll take a 7 box. And that will be a 9 box for Craig Powers. So we'll be just confirming those scores here in just a moment, but by my count, Craig Powers takes the first game by 194 to Jordan Britton's 93, and that is what I see up there. So all these scores are confirmed. Trafton takes the first game 92 by 3 over Sarah Wright's 89, and Jordan Britton will just not quite take points, 93 to Craig Powers' 94, a difference of 1. So we have an even split. An away bowler and a home bowler have taken the first games. So that is the story here of the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour in the first game. Going to move on to the second game now. It's going to be Sarah Wright on your right. And Trafton on the left. Sarah Wright with a thunderous 9 drop to start things out. Leaving all but the 8 on the deck. The headpin shot. Trafton's on the headpin, but gets a less lucky leave. He drops 6, leaving the left side diamond. Left side diamond of 4, 5, 8, 2. Sarah Wright will play the wood, and that's a spare for Sarah Wright, starting out with a mark. And Trafton The diamonds are hard to convert. They've always been discussed in the WCVB Channel 5 Candlepin Bowling with Don Gillis show as being very hard to break, even if you're on the object pin. When Trafton connects with the 4 and takes nothing else, so the diamond wins again. It starts with hitting the object pin, but still, regardless, it's a very difficult shot to convert. And that will be a 9 box for Win Trafton all the while. 9 after 1 for Trafton, 10 and a bonus after 1 for Wright. Sarah Wright leads off. She's on the 1-3 pocket. It was a great-looking shot in slow motion there. That's an 8 fill on her spare. She leaves the 4 and the 7. And Win Trafton with a fast-moving headpin shot. He drops 8 of his own, leaving the 4 and the 8 on the deck. Let's take a look at this. Sarah Wright's shooting at the 4 and the 7. She's just a little off. She connects with the wood in the back. And it doesn't take either pin out, doesn't spin, doesn't push, doesn't do anything of the sort. Win Trafton on the 4 and the 8. He'll connect with the 8 and leave the 4. And Sarah Wright will clean up for a 10 box. She'll miss the second and get the third. That's a Paul Grant special where you miss on the second ball and get on the third ball. And that's a $1 donation to Candlepins for Cancer per occurrence. When Trafton takes 9. 18 after 2 for Trafton and 28 after 2 for Sarah Wright with that spare 8 and a 10. That's Sarah Wright on the right in the black shirt and Win Trafton on the left in the yellow shirt at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire on lanes 5 and 6. Lane 5 is the left lane, lane 6 is the right lane. That's Sarah Wright with a headpin shot and a split. A 4-6, 3-7, 10. Win Trafton also a similar story. Leaving the 4-6-3. So Sarah Wright's got the 4-6-3-7-10 that she's shooting at. Got to play the 3-6 pocket in some way. She's just a little off to the right. Leaves the 3, the 4, and the 7. A mirror image shot of Win Trafton's shot, actually, if you can believe that. Trafton will take a 6, or take the 6 pin, that is. And Sarah Wright for a 10 box and a 7 box minimum. She's firing at the 3, the 4, and the 7. And that's going to be a fouled 7 box for Sarah Wright. It was in the gutter and pops out, takes a pin, doesn't count. Win Trafton will take a 9, winning the box, 9-7. 27 after 3 for Trafton and 35 after 3 for Wright. That is confirmed. So far, no bowler has thrown strikes. Every bowler has thrown 1 spare. Trafton is second place in headpin shots. Sarah Wright has 8 headpin shots. She's in first place. Jordan Britton at 6 and Craig Powers at 3. Sarah Wright's on the 1-2 pocket. And it's the right side Verizon check mark on the right side for Sarah Wright. This is a 6 drop, and Win Trafton is just off to the right of the headpin. Takes a right side candlepin corner of 3. The 6, 9, 10 go down. Sarah Wright on the check mark. She's just off the 5. She doesn't take it, but she has the opportunity to get a 10 box now with a 6 box minimum. Win Trafton is just to the right of the headpin. He leaves the 4 horsemen left side, the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 7. And Sarah Wright on the 5, the 6, the 3, and the 10. For a 6 box minimum and a 10 box maximum, she'll take a 7. She leaves the 3, the 6, and the 10. Win Trafton, he's just off the object pin, and a piece of wood rolls up to the head pin, and it won't go. That's his 4th 9 box in a row for 36 after 4 for Win Trafton, 42 after 4 for Sarah Wright. So Sarah Wright has a season average of 103.35 with a home average of 102.8 and an away average of 103.9. Her high single is 131. Her high series is 559. She has 8 strikes, 77 spares, and 109 tens. That's an interesting drop of 4 for Sarah Wright. And Win Trafton. When you read something and say something at the same time, sometimes the wrong thing comes out. Win Trafton had a half Worcester plus some additional pins. Drop 4, left 6 up. Sarah Wright is just not on the object pin for the second spare ball. She leaves the 1 and the 9. Win Trafton leaves the 6 and the 10. Both bowlers are shooting for 10 boxes right now. Sarah Wright on the 1 and the 9. And she will connect with the 1 and the 9 for a great out of a 10. That puts her at 52 after 5. Win Trafton for an 8, 9, or 10 box. Can he get 5 9s in a row? Can he get 5 9s of service? That is 5 9s of service for Win Trafton. If you work in IT, if you know, 5 9s of service is usually a great thing. 45 after 5 for Win Trafton, and 52 after 5 for Sarah Wright with 1 mark in her half. No marks for Win Trafton, but he gets 5 9s in a row. So that's an achievement in its own right. If we had some kind of achievement system like Steam or Xbox, I'd gladly award it to him. But, I digress. So we now say hello to Craig Powers on the right in the white shirt, Dr. Powers, Craig Powers. And we have Jordan Britton on the left. Craig Powers with a 9 drops starting out. Leaving the 5. Jordan Britton not on the head pin. He drops 6. That's the 1, the 2, the 4, and the 9 on the deck. Dr. Powers fires. Dr. Powers gets his target for a spare. 10 after 1 and a bonus. Jordan Britton takes the 2 and leaves everything else. Craig Powers has a PhD in chemical engineering from the University of Notre Dame. And that's going to be... So Craig Powers has a spare and Jordan Britton has an 8. Craig Powers with 13 strikes, 71 spares, and 84 10s this season. A perfect box percentage of 42%. Seasonal total pins of 41-21 for Craig Powers. And on his spare, he'll take an 8 fill, but he has a 7-10 split. Great ball. Just one of those shots that just didn't quite work out. Welcome to Candlepin Bowling. Jordan Britton is on the 1, the 2, and the 10 on his first ball. Craig Powers, he fires on the... It looks like it's going to be a foul. And Craig Powers is a very tall man, so it's sometimes tough to capture that on the Zoom camera, so my apologies. I have the camera up as high as I can possibly send it, but at the moment, that's about as best as we can do. So I believe that's going to be an 8 box for Powers, and Britton misses his spare, and he leaves the 10 on the deck. That'll be a 9 box for Britton, I believe. I will double check that in just a moment.
You can't replay that, can you?
No, I can't. I think I saw it go in and come out, though. It's always up to the bowlers to make the call on the fouls, regardless of the discourse on the stream, though. So if I'm right or wrong, does not matter. It's always up to the bowlers to make that call. I'm just holding for that, and it is confirmed. 17 after 2 for Jordan Britton and 26 after 2 for Craig Powers. So I think we caught enough of it on frame, but yes. And one of those shots, it's unfortunate when you foul off the whole thing on a spare bid, but one of those things, it's like when you get a penalty marker in football for a false start when you score a touchdown, kind of like last night on last night's primetime game. That's a headpin shot, and the right side check mark, 6 drop for Craig Powers, and a headpin shot for Jordan Britton, and he leaves the 4 and the 7 on the deck, and 8 drop. Dr. Powers, he'll take the 5 and leave everything else. Jordan Britton, though, with a mark. That's a spare on the 4-7, and he'll take that. Craig Powers will clean up for a nice out for a 10 box, 36 after 3 for Powers, and 27 in a bonus after 3 for Jordan Britton. And we have some free time here. I'll show you some stats about Craig Powers and Jordan Britton, as well as Win Trafton and Sarah Wright, once we get settled in down here. And that's a headpin shot for Craig Powers. He was right on it, dropped 6 as the left side diamond, and Jordan Britton with a headpin shot of his own, and that's a 9 fill on his spare. 36 after 3 for Jordan Britton. So again, we continue our lecture about diamonds in Candlepin Bowling. There's several iterations of it. This is the left side diamond, the 4-5-2-8. No wood, no assistive wood. Craig Powers is going to fire on it, but he just is a little bit too much to the left, so it doesn't go. Jordan Britton for his second spare, and it will go. That's a spare for Jordan Britton. 2 in a row, spare 9, and then a spare. And Powers is on the diamond. There we go. That's more of an example I wanted to kind of bring up, where diamonds are really hard to break. Where you saw there, Craig Powers was on the object pin on the diamond, and yet one of those pins still didn't go down. You have to hit it at such a precise angle that you could take all 4 and maybe have just enough luck where it will all go. Powers. And I was going to say, I was pretty sure that was a headpin shot, but also helps if I focus the right window here. He leaves the 4, the 5, the 7, the 9, and the 10, and that's an 8 fill for Jordan Britton and another headpin shot. Jordan Britton doing great on the fills. It's all about the fills a lot of the time. So Craig Powers does about the best he can with that shot, but he's left with the 7, the 8, and the 4. Jordan Britton doesn't connect for the 3-peat on the spares. Leaves 1. The comment saying, I think that wood is out, and I can't disagree. Craig Powers almost kicks over for a 10 box, but he'll take a 9. Yep, that wood is definitely way out of play. There's a line down there where the wood cannot cross. If it does, it's out of play. We have Sarah Wright going down to collect the piece of wood. And there it goes. We thank Sarah Wright for that maintenance. So Jordan Britton is shooting for a 9 or a 10 box now on the 8 pin. And he'll take it, though. It was worth the wait. That's a 10 box for Jordan Britton. And at the end of the half, Jordan Britton with a double spare. That's really kind of sent him into the stratosphere a little bit. 64 after 5 for Jordan Britton and 54 after 5 for Craig Powers. These scores are confirmed. 2 marks for Britton in the first half of the second game. Craig Powers with 1 mark. And Craig Powers is up in the total by 9 and up in the game. Sorry, Jordan Britton is up in the total by 9 and up in the game by 10 at this time. And Sarah Wright is in control of the total by 4 and in control of the second game by 7 so far. So we'll see where that takes us. But meanwhile, we're going to switch gears here once again, switch back to our other matchup pair of the day, as we will be doing every 5 boxes. It's Win Trafton on the headpin with a split. Win Trafton on the right in the yellow. And Sarah Wright also with a split of her own. Both bowlers working on splits. They're on the headpin. Trafton fires first. He's on the 6 pin, leaves everything else. The 3, the 4, the 7, and the 10 on the deck. As Sarah Wright is working on the 7-10-6. Sarah Wright has a perfect box percentage of 49% with 4140 seasonal total pins. She tried to play the wood, and I know what she wanted to do, but that was a risky, high-risk, high-reward shot, and unfortunately, the risk was too high. Win Trafton has a season average of 100.1, home average 97.2, away average of 103.0. His away record is currently better than his home record, 0.89 to a home record of 0.33. That's a 6 for Trafton and an 8 for Wright. 51 after 6 for Trafton, and 60 after 6 for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton has a high single of 153 and a high series of 601. He has 10 strikes, 81 spares, 86 tens for the season with a perfect box percentage of 39%, 45-18 seasonal total pins for Win Trafton, and that's nearly a strike and nearly first blood on the strikes so far, but 1 pin does not fall, so that pool is still open right now. Sarah Wright takes a left side half Worcester. 9 drop for Win Trafton and a 2 drop for Sarah Wright. Half Worcester again, punch out the 2 and the 8 or the 3 and the 9 straight out. A quarter Worcester is if you take out just the 2 or the 3. That's a spare though for Win Trafton. 61 and a ball after 7. Sarah Wright, good second ball, but she leaves the 1 and the 7 on the deck. So it was a good spare bid, but not everything went. Sarah Wright shooting for an 8, 9, or 10 box, and it's going to be a 9 box for Sarah. That will put her at 69 after 7. That's the story of this box so far. While we have a quick moment, here's Win Trafton's stats. Currently 12th in the wild card, and if we compare that to Sarah Wright, who's currently 10th in the wild card, we have kind of a real race here going on here. So we're going to see what the outcome of today leads us, and we'll show you more of those slides here when we have some free seconds. That's a 7 drop for Win Trafton and a 7 on his fill. Split, unfortunately. Sarah Wright drops 6, leaves the head pin, the 1, the 2, the 6, and the 10 on the deck. Win Trafton on the 3, 4, 6. And that ball is way off. I think it spent quite a bit of time in the gutter there. And Sarah Wright's on the 1 and the 2 and leaves the 6 and the 10. but there's no mark for either bowler. When Trafton shooting at the 4-6-3, and he fires, and he's off just a little bit. Sarah Wright shooting at the 6-10. The 6-10 for Sarah Wright, and it goes! After a dramatic pause, Sarah Wright will take a 10, and Win Trafton finishes with a 7, 75 after 8 for Win Trafton, 79 after 8 for Sarah Wright. Double checking, those scores are correct. Again, the race is on for whoever throws the first strike of this match so far. 10 hit-pin shots for Wright, 10 hit-pin shots for Trafton. Statistically, it could be one of them in terms of how well they're pinning. Trafton's off to the right of the headpin with a right side half Worcester. Sarah Wright, not in the headpin, drops 6, leaving the 1-2-4-7. Left side, 4 horsemen. And Trafton overcorrects to the left a little bit too much, leaves the 1, the 2, the 5, the 6, and the 10 on the deck. Sarah Wright shooting at the 4 horsemen left side. Will she run them down? She will. Sarah Wright runs down the left side 4 horsemen for a spare in the 9th. That's big for Sarah Wright, her second mark. 89 and a bonus for Sarah Wright. When Trafton, he's a little bit too full, and he'll finish with a 7. That's a big difference in the 9th, and a big sway potentially in Sarah Wright's favor. 89 and a bonus after 9. So far, their totals are 178 to 174, but Sarah Wright does have a fill. This could put Sarah in good early positioning in terms of total pinfall for those sweet, sweet 4 points at the end of the match. 4 points for grand total pinfall and 2 for tie. And when Trafton will take a left side half Worcester, Sarah Wright will drop 5 on her spare. Wasn't on the head pin. It's the 1-2-4-7-9 on the deck for Sarah Wright. When Trafton a little bit to the right on the Worcester leftovers, leaves the 1, the 4, and the 10. Sarah Wright's just a little bit too full on the head pin. It jumps over everything else. Neither bowler has a mark here in the 10th. Trafton 7, 8, 9, or 10. He'll take 1 and leave 2 for an 8 box. That will finish Win Trafton at 90. Sarah Wright will take 1. That will be 101. Sarah Wright will take the second game 101 to Win Trafton's 90. So in this matchup, they both have 2 points apiece because Win Trafton took the first game 92 to Sarah Wright's 89. In the second game, Sarah Wright takes the second game 101 to Win Trafton's 90. 2 game total 182 for Win Trafton. 2 game total 190 for Sarah Wright. The difference in the total is 8 in Sarah Wright's favor right now. Sarah Wright took the second game by 11. So that is the story of the second game so far of the second game of 5, this Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour match here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. We're going to switch gears back to Jordan Britton and Craig Powers. Jordan Britton with a headpin shot and a split 6 drop, 7-10, 4-2. And Craig Powers on the headpin with a similar 6 drop, but also a spare. And no mark for Jordan Britton. Leaves 2 pins at the altar, or 3 pins at the altar, excuse me. And Craig Powers leaves 2 and 3. The 2 and the 3 pins. And Britton will open up with a frustrating split of 8. That's a 9 box for Powers. 72 after 6 for Britton and 63 after 6 for Powers. And Britton. Great Britton. He drops 9 on the headpin, leaves the 7. And Craig Powers punches 2 on the left side, a half Worcester. And Jordan Britton just misses his 7-pin single pin spare opportunity. Craig Powers on the half Worcester, he's on the headpin, but leaves the 4 and the 5. Jordan Britton, I believe that will be a 10. Maybe not. I will hold for the result. It's always the bowler's call. It's a 9 box for Craig Powers. And Jordan Britton will be a foul. Foul to 9, so 81 after 7 for Britton and 72 after 7 for Powers. Here's Jordan Britton's stats. He's currently 3rd in the wild card. And compare that to Craig Powers, who's second in the wild card. So it's a real big competitive match between these two bowlers in particular. Jordan Britton is just off to the left of the head pin, and Craig Powers will lemon drop the 4 pin. As you know, the lemon drop, you punch out the first ball, the 4, the 6. That's a $1 donation to Candlepins per Cancer for every occurrence. Jordan Britton leaves the 1, the 5, the 3, and the 7. Craig Powers takes everything but the 7 on the remedial second spare bid ball. Jordan Britton is a little bit too full on the head pin. He's going to swing around to take the 9, but the 7 pin will remain. Craig Powers on the 7 pin on the perpendicular piece of wood. Both bowlers will finish with a 9 box at the end of it all. 9 after... In the 8th box, they both have 9, 90 after 8 for Britton, and 81 after 9 for Craig Powers, with 2 boxes to go to finish the second. Jordan Britton pulling ahead a little bit in this game. He's off the left of the head pin. Craig Powers is off to the left of the head pin as well, but Craig Powers has a more favorable shot. Jordan Britton, there's no deadwood for either bowler. Jordan Britton will take a few and leave 4 on the deck. Craig Powers is just a little bit off the object pin. He leaves the head pin on the deck. Jordan Britton will take a 6. He's frustrated with that one. And Craig Powers will take 10. That's narrowing the lead a little bit. Jordan Britton really kind of had a wider lead in the previous box, but now it's only a difference of 5. 96 in the 9th for Jordan Britton and 91 in the 9th for Craig Powers. Super tight competitive matches here today. Each game, it's just exciting. Everything is just coming down to the last box. It's a head pin shot for Powers. Nearly a strike. The 5 pin is wiggling and it doesn't go down though. Jordan Britton has the 1, the 6, and the 9 on the deck to shoot 4, and it was a heartbreaker. He leaves the 9. He was on the correct pin, on the correct pocket, on the correct object, but the 9 pin doesn't go. Craig Powers is shooting for a spare. He's got 2 pieces of wood in front of the 5. Let's see what happens. Oh, and it almost doesn't go. It was almost a complete heartbreaker almost for Craig Powers. Sorry, Craig Powers has the spare. That's a 9 box for Jordan Britton. Jordan Britton will finish with a 105 in the 10th. Craig Powers may have taken this game back. He's at 101 and a bonus in the 10th. We're going to see what's going on here. Craig Powers just needs 4 to tie, 5 to win. And that's going to be a definitive win for Craig Powers. Spare 9, 110 for Craig Powers in the 10th. 105 in the 2nd. For Jordan Britton. Those scores are confirmed. Just wanted to pause to make sure. That's 204 2-game total for Craig Powers. 198 2-game total for Jordan Britton. Jordan Britton has... Craig Powers has 204 in the total, up by 6, and took the second game by 5 with that 110. Sarah Wright took the second game by 11 with that 101 to win Trafton's 90 and has the total by 8, 192, Trafton's 182. But we're going to be moving on to the third game here, the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour. It's Sarah Wright down there. Sarah Wright wasting no time. Drops 5, 4 horsemen left side in the 10. And win Trafton all the while on the head pin. Drop 7. And it is a split. Sarah Wright on the object pocket runs down the left side 4 horsemen, but can't quite get a kick to take the 10. When Trafton has the 5, the 7, and the 8. Let's see what he can do with this one. And oh my goodness, he pinballs around, but he can't quite take the center area. Too many deflections. Sarah Wright shooting for a 10 box now on the 10 pin. And Sarah Wright just misses. She takes a 9. Trafton on the 5 and the 8. And that will be a 10 box for Trafton. 10 after 1 for Trafton. 9 after 1 for Wright. And here's Win Trafton's stats in case you missed it before. Currently 12th in the wild card. He's bowled 9 matches so far. That's high five. That's 601. That is a big highlight for Win Trafton in particular of this season. Throwing over 600 is incredibly difficult to do in a 5-game series. And when you're down in when you're in C class like this, it's actually quite an achievement as well. It could be like one of these all-time situations. When Trafton is not on the head pin, he leaves a bouquet of pins in the center, 5, and Sarah dropped 8, leaving the 2 and the 5 on the deck. And Sarah for the spare, and just is a little bit off. Plays the wood just a little bit too much to the right. When Trafton on the center bouquet, and he leaves 4 on the deck. Sarah Wright looking to take a 10 box here. And she fires. She's just a little bit off for a 9 box. Sarah Wright's at 18 after 2 with 2 9s in a row. And Win Trafton will take an 8. For 18 after 2, Sarah Wright also at 18 after 2. Sarah Wright's just off to the left of the head pin. And Trafton will drop 8 of his own. And Sarah's off to the right of the head pin, leaves the 1, the 4, the 7, and the 10. No mark for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton will bean the 9 and leave the 5. No mark for either bowler right now. Sarah Wright's looking at a 6-box minimum and a 10-box maximum. Sarah Wright will take the head pin out, and the ball does a lot of work. Got a lot of value out of that third ball for a 9-box. Win Trafton takes 10. Sarah Wright takes 9. 27 after 3 for Sarah Wright, and 28 after 3 for Win Trafton. Win Trafton has totaled 13 in bonus pins for marks, averaging 6.5 per mark. Sarah Wright with 13 as well, also averaging 6.5 per marks today. Sarah Wright's on the 1-3 pocket. Sarah Wright draws first blood with the strike. Nice pocket shot and a strike for Sarah Wright. 37 and a bonus. And Win Trafton nearly does the same. He's on the head pin and squarely drops 8, leaves 5 and 9 on the deck. The first strike is claimed by Sarah Wright. We have 11 marks across all 4 bowlers. It's been almost all in exclusively spares except for Sarah Wright, who got the first strike. And Win Trafton will take 1, leave 1. Trafton looking to clean up, and he'll take a 9. Leaving the 5. 37 after 4 for Trafton. 37 and a bonus after 4 for Sarah Wright. Take a look at Sarah Wright's stats. So she's 10th in the wild card. Her high five is 559. I've covered several of Sarah's matches this season, and she's been showing steady improvement, and especially with just the train of marks. We had I want to say last month I was covering a match by Sarah where she just bowled a freight train of marks, and that was nearly a double strike by Sarah Wright. She touched all 10, left the 7-pin wiggling. Well, Reds that really should have gone. So Sarah Wright almost with a double strike. 9 so far. Win Trafton's off to the left of the head pin, leaves 5 on the deck. 1, 5, 3, 8, 9. And Sarah Wright will get a spare on strike. Spare on strike for Sarah Wright. And Win Trafton, keeping us all in suspense, he almost takes a spare of his own. He's left with the 8-pin on the deck. So Trafton is markless in the 5th. Sarah Wright will sit on a spare on strike. That's a 9-box for Win Trafton, putting Trafton at 46 after 5. And Sarah Wright is at 57 and a bonus after 5 with 2 marks and a spare on strike. That was big for Sarah Wright. That's pivotal right there. She's at 57 and a bonus. Compare that to Win Trafton's 46 after 5. Saying hello to, once again, to Jordan Britton and Craig Powers. Craig Powers on your right in the white. Jordan Britton in the maroon shirt on the left. Jordan Britton on the left, Dr. Powers on the right. And Craig Powers starts out not on the head pin, drops a few. That's about as much as I can say about that. Jordan Britton will take a split of a 7 drop, the 5-7-9. And Craig Powers will open up with a spare, a definitive statement spare in the third. Jordan Britton also with a spare. Fantastic, fantastic dueling stereo spares for both of our bowlers. So Sarah Wright, again, is the only one to throw a strike today so far. It's been mostly the spare show for everybody else. Craig Powers and Jordan Britton both in the lead with 4 spares apiece. With those dueling stereo spares. Craig Powers, and he'll take a strike. Craig Powers is on the board with a strike. And Jordan Britton, not so lucky. He'll take a 7 on his spare. Suddenly, the strikes have come to town here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. Jordan Britton, oh, he just misses the object pin a little bit, just collides with some wood and takes nothing. And Britton will take 1 and leave 2 for an 8 box. 25 after 2 for Britton. 30 and a bonus for Craig Powers with that strike on spare. He saw Sarah Wright's spare on strike and thought, I can match that. Powers on a strike. And he's on the head pin. It won't be a double. Wiggly 8 drop. 4-5. Jordan Britton wasn't on the head pin, but he drops 8 of his own. And Powers. Will he get the spare on strike? He won't quite. He'll play the wrong side of the 5 pin. But Jordan Britton, can he get a nice mark here? He hits the head pin full. Oh my goodness. Frustrating, frustrating, frustrating. That's candlepin bowling for you, folks. Sometimes you can throw the ball perfect and not much will happen. So that will be a 9 for Powers with a 9 fill. And a 10 after 3 for Jordan Britton. 35 after 3 for Jordan Britton. 48 after 3 for Dr. Powers. Craig Powers drops a few. Leaves the left side 4 horsemen. And Britton will drop 5, leaving the right side 4 horsemen and a sleeper. But Craig Powers will run down the horseman for another spare, his 3rd mark of the half. Jordan Britton is just off to the left. Craig Powers is at 58 and a bonus after 4. Jordan Britton for a potential 45 after 4. But it's going to be a 5 box for Jordan Britton, 40 after 4. 58 and a bonus after 4 for Craig Powers. Here's the stats for Jordan Britton. So again, 3rd in the wild card and very close to Craig Powers, who is, I believe, 2nd in the wild card. Both bowlers have been having very good seasons so far. I'll show you the stats for Craig Powers in just a moment here. So Craig Powers with an interesting 7 drop and a split. And Jordan Britton's just off the left of the head pin. 1, 3, 6, 7, 9, 10 on the deck. And Powers on the 5, 7, 10. Can't really do a whole lot with that at the moment. He takes the 5, leaves the 7 and the 10. Jordan Britton leaves the 3, 6, 10. Powers will take an 8 box. That'll be a 9 box for Jordan Britton. So 57 and a bonus for Sarah Wright. Compare that to win Trafton's 46 after 5. And 73 after 5 for Craig Powers. Compare that to 49 after 5 for Jordan Britton. Those scores are confirmed. Powers up in the game by 24 and up in the total by 30. Sarah Wright up in the total by 19 and in the game by 11. Trafton fires first. Drops 6 on the head pin, the right side check mark. Sarah Wright on her spare. She's not on the head pin, but she will take a nice 6 fill. So Sarah Wright's at 63 after 5, officially. And Trafton will play the check mark and he'll leave the 5 on the deck. Unfortunately, the 5 pin is tough to take out in the check mark if you hit it the wrong way, but Sarah Wright will take another spare. On the right side, 4 horsemen, she runs them down. 73 after 6 for Sarah Wright, and a bonus. Win Trafton will pin it out for a 10. That's 56 after 6. But Sarah Wright with 3 marks, strike, spare, spare, firmly in the driver's seat in the second game here. It's not entirely an impossibility for Win Trafton to catch up, but he really needs to start marking and go lights out for the last 4 boxes effectively, especially when Sarah Wright's on a fill. Trafton. A little bit off, not on the head pin, but leaves a few on the deck. And Sarah Wright on the 1-2 pocket is nearly a strike, but a great fill of 9, so a 19 in the 6th. So she is currently at 82 and 6 with that 9 fill. Win Trafton's just off to the right. It was a 6 drop for Win Trafton, leaves the 1-2-4-7. Thought there was a sleeper pin behind it, but there wasn't. Sarah Wright on lane 10. Not lane 10. My goodness. Lane 5. She says bowler's call, but it was I believe it's going to be a fouled 9 for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton 6 box minimum, 10 box maximum. He'll split the difference and take an 8, leaving the 1 and the 7 on the deck for an 8 box. 64 and 7 for Win Trafton and 91 and 7 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright and Craig Powers, the home bowlers, are the ones with strikes today. Win Trafton and Jordan Britton are still in the hunt. Headpin shots have been nearly even for all of our bowlers effectively here, though, between 12 and 14 across everybody. Win Trafton drops 6. Sarah Wright is to the right of the headpin. Drops 5. Left side Cleary. 1-3-6-8 for Win Trafton that he's shooting at for a spare leave. And he's on it. He'll take it for a spare. So Sarah Wright is on her Cleary shot, and she'll leave everything but the 1 and the 7 on the deck. Shooting at an 8, 9, or 10 box. And Sarah for the 10 box, she'll take 8. That's 99 in 8 for Sarah. And 74 in a bonus after 8 for Win Trafton. Win Trafton. And he fires. On a spare, he drops 8. And Sarah Wright is going to be on lane 5 on the left in the black shirt. Sarah Wright fires. She's on the headpin. A little bit of a light hit, though. That is a banana split. That's the 7-10-4-6 banana split. It's Casey McCool. Popularized by Paul Grant and Casey McCool, but that is a spare for Win Trafton. Spare on a spare. Double spare. 92 and a bonus for Win Trafton. Sarah Wright's just, well, a banana split, you got to pick a half and spray and pray. She'll take the right and leave the second, and leave the left side, the 4 and the 7. So the 6-10 go, the 4-7 stay. And Sarah Wright will complete the banana split, though, for a 10 box, 109 and 9. Sarah Wright missing no pins there. Win Trafton, though, starting to really come alive here. This is, again, a suddenly very competitive match that's coming down to the wire in terms of the point differentials. Difference in the game of 17 between these two bowlers. Oh, and Trafton's just off to the right. It's a 3 fill. Right side candlepin corner, and the 3-pin is leaning. And Sarah, nice first ball. Drops all but the 5. 9 drop. Look at that leaning 3-pin. I don't know if that's a deck or a cap on the pin that's messed up, but that is crazy. It's like a Dr. Seuss pin. And when Trafton, he plays the object pin, but he leaves the 5 and the 7. Sarah Wright will take a 10, though. That will finish her at 119 in the 10th, and that will be the third game for Sarah Wright. 119 to win Trafton's potential 105 here, and it's probably going to be, it will be a 103. 119 to 103, Sarah Wright versus Win Trafton. 3-game total of 309 for Sarah Wright, averaging over 100. 3-game total of 285 for Win Trafton. Sarah Wright takes the third game. Oh, my apologies. That was a spare for Sarah Wright. What am I saying? I was like, why are they still bowling? My apologies on that. So, okay, hold one moment. Let's wind up and redo that once again. Gotta love that. So, I believe it is 126 to 103. Yes, that is confirmed. My apologies. I completely missed that spare on the last one. I thought it was the third ball, and I just got wrapped up in that mentally. So 3-game total of 316 for Sarah Wright after all said and done, to compare to Win Trafton's 3-game total of 285 in the third. Sarah Wright takes the third game by 23 and the total by 31 at the end of the third. Sarah Wright firmly in the driver's seat, but she has 4 points. Win Trafton not pointsless, though. Not pointless, but not pointsless. He is 2 points in. Sarah Wright has 4 points, but still anyone's game here. That's Jordan Britton down there with a headpin shot. Drops 8, leaving the 7 and the 8 on the deck. Powers all the while. He's got a banana split of his own. And Britton just misses his mark. And Craig Powers will follow suit as well. So that'll be a 9-box for Britton. Powers on the 6-10 for a 10-box. He'll take a 9. Both bowlers, despite where they went, they ended up taking 9s apiece. 82 after 6 for Powers, 58 after 6 for Britton. Those scores are confirmed. Take a look at Craig Powers, though. He's second in the wild card, 72 and 40 for the season record. I'll show you that slide in just a second. Sorry. Hard to find a spare second every now and then to show the stats. It's an 8 drop for Britton. Headpin shot and a split for Powers, 6 drops. 7, 9, 10, 6 for Powers, and Britton's got the 1 and the 10 to contend with, and he'll take that spare. Britton will take a spare. Powers has a really interesting shot. It's a 7, 9, 10, 6. That wood is going to be cantankerous to deal with, as Powers tries to play the left side of the frontmost wood. Got a bit of a kick, but not quite the one that was expected. He's left with the 6 and the 10 on the deck for a 10-box. And he won't even get the 10. He'll take the 9. So that's 9 for Powers, 91 after 7. So yes, Craig Powers, he's second in the wild card. He's first in Division 3 in C North. Second in the wild card overall, though. 21st high class average of 103.05. Number 3 class high single of 151. Number 8 class average spare fill of 6.26. That's the story for Craig Powers. That's Jordan Britton with a late falling 6 fill, not on the headpin. Craig Powers will punch through the center with a spread eagle 4 drop. The traditional academic spread eagle. Britton 1-3-4-7. And he punches hard through the center, leaving the 3-4-7. Powers on the spread eagle, the 4-pinner. And he'll take the left side, leaving the right side of the right wing of the bird. And Britton will leave the 3 for a 9-box. Powers will take an 8-box for 99 and 8. And talking about Jordan Britton, he is first in C North Division 1 and third place in the wild card. And that's him firing down there. It's to the left of the headpin. Just a little bit off. Craig Powers is on the headpin, nearly a strike. He drops all but the 5-pin with a 9 drop. It's a 50% perfect box percentage for Jordan Britton for the season so far. 20 strikes, 86 spares, 95 tens. Britton misses a spare, and Powers misses his spare as well. Both bowlers shooting for 10 boxes. 6 drop for Britton. 2, 3, 6, 10. He takes the 3, leaves the 2, the 6, and the 10. That's a 10, so it's a 7 box for Britton and a 10 box for Powers. 90 and 9 for Britton and 109 and 9 for Powers. And Britton on the 1-3 pocket. Will he get a strike? He touches all 10. He yells, come on, man. Can't disagree with that. He touched all 10. And for the single pin spare, and oh my goodness, Jordan Britton just misses it a little bit. The 4-pin, the wiggly 4-pin, which was touching the first ball and not touching the second ball. Powers takes a few more, leaving 3 on the deck, and that's a 10 box for Jordan Britton. That's, some might call that a PGS. A Paul Grant special. Missed the second, get the third. It's a 9 box for Craig Powers. Craig Powers will take the second game. So we are at the end, the third game. So we are at the end of the third game. Jordan Britton 100, Craig Powers 118. Craig Powers takes the third game by 18. 3-game total of 322 for Craig Powers. 3-game total of 298 for Jordan Britton. Craig Powers currently has all the points, 6 points to Jordan Britton's 0 at the moment. 322 to 298 puts Powers up in the total by 24. And Powers obviously took the third game by 18. So that's the story of the third game. And again, Trafton 285 to Sarah Wright's 316. Sarah Wright took 2 of 3 games so far. Trafton did take 1, so there's at least that. So we're going to move on to the fourth game now. So we just reset everything for the fourth game. That's Sarah Wright on your right and Win Trafton on the left. Sarah Wright's opening ball. To the left of the head pin is the right side check marks. Drops 6. No, it's a 5 drop. There's a sleeper pin behind it. 3, 5, 6, 9, 10. Right side bucket of 5. And Win Trafton's off to the left of the head pin. 1, 3, 7, 8, 6, 10 is what Win Trafton is shooting at. And Sarah Wright will punch the bucket of 5 and technically take the right side diamond, but leaves the 10 on the deck. No mark. Win Trafton will take the 8 and leave everything else. And Sarah Wright will take a 9, leaving the 10 on the deck. Win Trafton will leave the 1 and the 7 for an 8 box. Win Trafton is 3rd place in C North Division 2, 14th in the wild card. He has a 27th high class average on 100.1, number 2 class high single on 153. Sarah Wright is 3rd place in C North Division 3, 10th place in the wild card. She is number 6 in ACST total 10s at 109, number 2 in ACST North total 10s at 109. She has the 20th high class average on 103.35. Neither bowler on the head pin here. Trafton lemon drop. Sarah right side 4 horsemen. She takes the 3 on the spare bid and leaves the 1-6-10. Trafton trying to convert the lemon drop to a spare. He's on the 1-3 pocket. It was a good bid, but he leaves the 2 and the 5. Sarah Wright is the number 8th class perfect box percentage at 49%. She has number 3 class C total 10s at 109. And she has the number 8th class C fewest average pins left at 46.38. That's an 8 box for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton will take a 10. 17 after 2 for Sarah Wright. 18 after 2 for Trafton. In Win Trafton's past 5 matches, he's taken 22 points, averaging 4.4 per match. 6 strikes, 47 spares, 46 tens in those past 5 matches. Standout stat is 9.4 spares per match for Win Trafton. Sarah Wright drops 7 on the head pin, leaving the 4-6-10. And Trafton's off to the left of the head pin once again. In Sarah Wright's past 5 matches, she's taken 41 points, averaging 8.2 per match, with 6 strikes, 53 spares, and 71 tens. The standout stat has been 14.2 tens per match. That's why Sarah Wright has the superlatives for all the tens right now. Sarah Wright's past 5 matches, total pinfall has been 26.52, averaging 530.4 per match. And Win Trafton almost takes the spare, leaves the 2 on the deck. No mark for either bowler. Sarah Wright shooting at the 6-10 for a 10 box. Sarah Wright just barely misses for an 8 box. She just barely misses the 6 pin. This ball sails right past it. It's a 10 box for Win Trafton all the while. 28 after 3 for Trafton and 25 after 3 for Sarah Wright. Win Trafton's past 5 matches total pinfall has been 25.58, averaging 511.6 per match. Win Trafton has 1 match this season at or over 600. 3 of 9 matches with double-digit wins. Sarah Wright has 1 of 8 matches at or over 550, with 3 of 8 matches with double-digit wins. Sarah Wright, not on the head pin, gets an interesting drop. And Win Trafton with a really difficult split of 7-10-4-5, no wood. Sarah Wright on the 1-3 pocket, takes the 1, the 3, a sleeper, 6, and then the 6, the 4, and the 7 are left on the deck. Trafton, I don't know what he's going to do with this one. The most he could do is just pick a couple of sticks or a stick, and that's what he does. He takes the 5. No mark. And Sarah Wright will leave the goalpost for an 8 box. Trafton fires on the 7-10-4 and will take a 7 box. 35 after 4 for Trafton, 33 after 4 for Wright. Those scores are confirmed. Sarah Wright and Craig Powers are the only ones with strikes today still. And almost every bowler has 5 spares apiece, aside from Win Trafton, just at 4 at the moment. And Sarah Wright almost with a strike. The wood curls around the last pin, but it doesn't fall. It's the 4 pin. And Trafton is, again, off to the left of the head pin. Having some trouble finding it there. Sarah Wright on the 4 pin with a piece of wood across. And all around it. There's 4 pieces of wood on the deck. Should go. I say should, and it does should go. That's a spare for Sarah Wright. In the 5th, that puts her at 43 and a bonus after 5. Win Trafton shooting at a pile of pins down there, and the second ball was on the object pocket. He's left with the 5 and the 7 on the deck. No mark. Trafton takes 1, leaves 1 for a 9. 44 after 5 for Win Trafton. And 43 and a bonus after 5 for Sarah Wright. As of 3.5 games, Win Trafton is at 329, Sarah Wright's at 359, a difference of 30 between our 2 bowlers. But Sarah Wright also has a fill on that mark, on that spare, coming right up once they return to the lanes. But for the moment, we're going to say hello once again to Craig Powers on your right and Jordan Britton on the left. And both bowlers on the head pin, but with splits, not much to show for it. Powers has the 7, the 9, and the 5, and he's just off to the left. Again, Craig Powers is a very tall individual, so my apologies if the zoom cam gets a little bit obscured every now and then. Jordan Britton almost gets a pretty conversion of the 3-6-4-7. The 4 is the only one that stays. Powers cleans up for a 10 box. And so does Jordan Britton. So where are we today? The venue is Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, with 36 lanes since 1959. It hosted the ICC Candlepin World's 2024 tournament. I bowled on the house team, Team Leda Lanes, Leda's Massholes. Both bowlers on the head pin here with 7 drops. Jordan Britton has a split. Craig Powers does not. Craig Powers on the 2-4-7, and he caps the wood, and it doesn't take anything. Jordan Britton has a more interesting leave with a 4-5-7, and he has to cap the piece of wood to the right of the 5 really to do something with it, and that was precisely what he tried, but nothing doing on that shot. Craig Powers, and he'll take a 10. That's a miss the second, get the third. That's 10 for Powers and 9 for Britton. And when you miss the second, get the third, we call that a Paul Grant special, where you miss on the second ball, and then come back to get it on the third ball in the same situation. That's a $1 for candlepins per cancer donation for every occurrence. That's Craig Powers to the right of the head pin. And that's Jordan Britton on the head pin with an 8 drop, the 5 and the 9. Powers trying to make something out of that shot. He leaves the 1, the 8, and the 6 on the deck. Oops. Jordan Britton's got the 5 and the 9 on the deck. And he's just to the right of the 5. Missing it by just centimeters, really. Powers for the 10 box. Powers will take an 8. And Britton will take a 10. It's 29 after 3 for Britton and 28 after 3 for Craig Powers, with 2 boxes to go before we return to win Trafton and Sarah Wright. Craig Powers on the head. Well, no, sorry, not on the head pin. He got in the way of the camera there. Drops 7, leaves the 1, 8, 9. Jordan Britton not on the head pin. He leaves the 1, 3, 6, 9, 4, 7. And Craig Powers, oh my goodness, he just fires and misses to the left. Jordan Britton, he'll miss to the right, leaving the 1, the 4, and the 7 on the deck. Powers for the 10 box, and he'll punch through and leave 1 for a 9. Jordan Britton will take 2 and leave 1 for a 9 as well. 38 after 4 for Britton, 37 after 4 for Powers. Very close game, a difference of 1. And in the total, Craig Powers is up by 23. So every pin counts, as we always say in Worlds. Every pin. Every pin. Powers is on the head pin with a split drop 6, 5, 6, 3, 7, and Britton drops 9, leaving the 5 on the deck. Powers has a shot with no wood, and he'll play the right side triangle but leave the 7. It's about as best as you could hope for there. But Britton will take a mark, a much needed spare to sit on, 48 and a bonus. 48 and a bonus. And I believe that's a good 10 for Powers. But all the meanwhile, that's 48 and a bonus for Britton and 47 after 5 for Powers. And that is confirmed. I was just double checking because I saw there was bullpen activity down at the score table. So I was just making sure that everything was all nice and dandy, and it appears to be. That's going to be Sarah Wright on your left, Win Trafton on your right. Sarah Wright in the black shirt on the left, Win Trafton in the yellow on the right. And Trafton will lead off. Sarah Wright's on the spare. Trafton with a strike. On the pocket, statement strike to start the second half of the 4th game. Sarah Wright on the 1-3 pocket on a spare. It's a 6 fill. Great fill for Sarah Wright. It is a split technically. It is the 7-8-2-5. Piece of wood between the 5 and the 8. Sarah, she'll take the second spare in a row. Spare on spare action for Sarah Wright. That's 59 and a bonus, and the 6 for Sarah Wright. And Win Trafton, not to be outdone with a strike, is at 54 and a bonus in the 6th. Both bowlers working on marks. Trafton will lead off first. The next 2 balls are bonus balls. Compound interest. Trafton, oof, off to the left of the head pin, drops 3 so far. But he gets another ball to complete the fill, so we'll count it in the next ball. Sarah Wright on the head pin, and welcome to Candlepin Bowling, folks. That's a 6 drop for Sarah Wright and an awkward split. Spare 6 for Sarah Wright. And the strike fill is 10 for Win Trafton. Sorry, 8, not 10. You know what I mean. Typed the wrong thing, said the wrong thing. Sarah Wright will not get a 3rd mark in a row. She's left with the 5 and the 7. Win Trafton's got the 1 and the 2 on the deck. Trafton will pin it out for a 10, so an 18 and then a 10 for 72 after 7. And Sarah Wright will take 8 for 73 after 7. It's a close match, folks. A difference of 1 in the game. So now Jordan Britton is the only one not to throw a strike just yet. Everyone else is on the board now that Win Trafton has checked in with a strike. Let's see what Win Trafton can do here. On lane 6 at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, to the right of the head pin. He drops 5. 4 horsemen left side and a sleeper pin, the 8 pin. And Sarah Wright's on the head pin, but not much to show for it. Spread eagle minus the 2. It's the 7-10-4-6-3. When Trafton is looking to run down the 4 horsemen and the sleeper, it's harder than it looks. Starts with hitting the object pin, though, and he doesn't do that. So Trafton on the 1-8-9, Sarah on the 7-6-2, or 7-6-4, excuse me. Trafton will take an 8. Sarah Wright didn't get a mark. Shooting for a 10-box, 7-box minimum. She'll take 2, leave 1 for a 9-box, winning the box. Sarah Wright's at 82, Win Trafton's at 80. I said winning the box because it is so close at this point, and in a scratch match, it's all about winning the box, as my friend and teammate John Blaze once said. He goes, if you just win a box by a margin of a few pins, that's the equivalent of getting a spare and a fill. So, just some advice for all those in the ACST. If you're in a competitive match, like, don't worry about getting huge, enormous marks if the game is that close. Just try to do what you can. Just kind of keep it nice and loose. Sarah Wright's off to the left of the head pin. When Trafton was off to the right of the head pin. That's about all I can say about either of those shots. Trafton on the 1-2 pocket. Nice recovery second ball, and he takes all but the 10 pin. Almost a spare. And Sarah Wright, she sails through the same void the first ball went through, unfortunately. Dropped 3, left 7. Trafton, take a 10. This could be big if Sarah can't get some pins here. Trafton's at 90 after 9. Sarah, oh my goodness, will take a 4-box. That's a big sway in Trafton's favor. 90 after 9 for Trafton, 86 and 9 for Wright. This is a close match, and now the lead is officially getting passed around. 21 headpin shots for the day for Sarah Wright out of 39. 17 of 39 for Win Trafton. 8 splits for Wright, 7 for Trafton. It's about even in terms of the split lottery today. Trafton is just off. Sarah Wright's on the head pin with an awkward 5-7-10, the Matt Susi special. The Matt Susi special is a 5-7-10 split, and it's one that Matt Susi, another teammate of mine during Worlds, is apparently very good at getting. So I'm not sure who coined that term. Maybe it was Paul Grant, but that's the story. So no mark for either bowler. Sarah plays the 5 and gets only the 5, and Trafton has the 6. They're shooting at for a 10-box. Trafton takes 10 for 100, and that will be the second game for the fourth game. It's not the second, the fourth game for Win Trafton. With that 9-box, Sarah Wright's at 95. So Win Trafton has taken points in this fourth game. 100 to 95, 4-game total of 385 for Win Trafton, and a 4-game total of 411 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright's still in the driver's seat in the total by 26, but Win Trafton has taken a few wins here and there, so the point differential is actually somewhat even between Win Trafton and Sarah Wright. But Sarah Wright could take those additional 4 points in grand total pinfall in the next game if she can keep it up. Meanwhile, Jordan Britton at 48 after 5 and a bonus, and Powers at 47 after 5. That's where we're currently at here at the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour, and Jordan Britton will lead off. And he's not on the head pin, but he dropped a few. Same story for both bowlers, really. It's a 6 fill for Jordan Britton after all the pins have mixed down. And she's just off to the left, leaves 3 on the deck. Powers for his mark. He's on the head pin, on the pocket, on the object pocket. Will the wood curl around to take the 8? It'll wiggle it, but it won't knock it over. Not enough force. And 1 down, 2 up for Britton. That's 8 for Jordan Britton after 6, 62. And Craig Powers will take a 10. 62 after 6 for Britton, 57 after 6 for Powers. That is confirmed. Might have one score correction to announce. Apparently, It appears that when Trafton had a 99, and I will double check that. It appears that he had a 9 in the 9th instead of a 10. So corrected score for when Trafton is 99 in the 4th with a 4-game total of 384 to Sarah Wright's 411. That's a 9 drop for Jordan Britton. And a not headpin shot from Craig Powers, dropping 6, 1, 2, 7, 9, 10. That's a spare for Jordan Britton, though. Meanwhile, in the single, Powers on the 1, 2, 7, 8, 10 on the object. Pretty when it goes, but unfortunately the 7, 10 didn't want to play. And that's a 9 box for Craig Powers. 66 and 7 for Craig Powers, and 72 in a bonus after 7 for Jordan Britton. So yes, we're at Leda Lanes. There's plenty to do at Leda Lanes, especially check out Kegler's Den. Tons of food, bunch of other events. If you're not into bowling, there's tons of other stuff like poker, karaoke, billiards, cornhole, all those kinds of stuff is here at Leda Lanes waiting for you. So come down to Amherst Street in Nashua, New Hampshire for Leda Lanes. Tons of leagues every day of the week nearly, and doesn't matter what skill level you are. If you're into competitive action or you like watching the ACST and kind of want to do this on the regular, I'd recommend joining a league, especially at Leda Lanes. It's a headpin shot and a split for Britton, no spare conversion. Craig Powers also with a split of his own, kind of spread eagle-ish. He doesn't take it, but Jordan Britton will pin it out for a 10 box. I want to make sure that wasn't a spare, as I missed it that last time. And that's a 9 box for Craig Powers, 75 after 8 for Craig Powers, and 88 after 8 for Jordan Britton. And of course, folks, the Candlepin community, regardless if it's Leda Lanes or anywhere else, they'd always appreciate your interest and visitation. Check out candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. Especially if you're in New England, go check it out. Jordan Britton drops 9, leaving the 7 pin, and Craig Powers drops 7, leaving the left side triangle. Jordan Britton on the single, and he just leaves the 7 pin on the deck, unfortunately. Craig Powers going for the spare, and the pins just curl around the wrong way. No mark for either bowler. It's going to be a fouled 9 box for Jordan Britton, I believe. That'll be a 10 box for Craig Powers. 97 and 9 for Jordan Britton, and 85 and 9 for Craig Powers. Jordan Britton is 21 for 39 on the headpin today. 22 for 39 Craig Powers is. And I believe... Wow, that headpin is crooked. Look at that slightly crooked headpin, but Jordan Britton has elected to shoot at it. So he misses off to the left, though. That headpin is still safe. Craig Powers drops 6. Neither bowler on the headpin this cycle. And Jordan Britton, again, missing that crooked headpin. Must be the kryptonite or something. Craig Powers on the headpin, but a little bit too full. No mark for either bowler. 6 box minimum for Jordan Britton. He finally connects with that headpin, but he'll take a 9. For 106 for Jordan Britton. Confirmed. 9 box for Craig Powers for 94 in the 10th. And that is also confirmed this time. 106, game 4 for Jordan Britton. He'll take the 4th game to Craig Powers' 94, winning the 4th game by 12. Craig Powers still has the grand total pinfall by 12, 416 to Jordan Britton's 404. So the game totals have always been very small between both matchups today, and the grand total pinfall is under 30 for both bowlers, or for both matchups, that is. So it's going to be one really competitive 5th game. The battle for 4 points for the grand total pinfall is definitely in play for both matchups today. So we're going to say hello once again to Win Trafton and Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright on the right this time, and Win Trafton on the left for these final first 5 boxes of this 5-game series here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. I'm Steve Kelly on the call. This is the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour in the regular season. Great to have you along as always. And that's Sarah Wright with a 6 drop, opening up with the 1, the 3, the 4, and the 7 left on the deck, and Win Trafton on the headpin. Left the left side accordion. You know the joke about accordions. The joke about accordions where someone left one in the back of a station wagon and came back, found his window smashed, and there was a second one in there. And please laugh at my jokes. When Trafton tries to break the accordion, only takes the 8, leaves the 4, the 5, and the 7. Sarah Wright on the 7 pin. That ball was oddly, wildly off to the right. I don't know what happened there, but that's a 9 box for Sarah Wright. Quite a read, if I must say so myself. That's an 8 box for When Trafton, 9 box for Sarah Wright. So yes, like I was saying earlier, go to candlepin.org and click Go Bowling to find your nearest center. Centers all over New England, some even over in New York, in Albany, New York. Had to add an extra pin to the map even after I found out that existed. Sarah Wright with a headman shot, and what the heck was that? That was no fault of Sarah's. She drops everything but the 7, 9, 10, 4, 5, 6. And When Trafton gets a banana split for his efforts. Banana split, 4, 6, 7, 10, leave. Spread eagle minus the 2 and the 3. Sarah Wright, meanwhile, just trying to make something out of her awkward leave that she got as well, but she's got the 7, 10, 4, 5, 6 still. When Trafton plays the left half of the banana split, leaves the right half. Sarah Wright's got the 7, 10, 4, 5, 6. She fires. She'll take 2 and leave 3 for a 7 box. Trafton will take an 8 of his own. Trafton 16 after 2. Sarah Wright also 16 after 2. Everyone but Jordan Britton has a strike today. A lot of spares. Only 1 strike apiece except for Jordan Britton. Everyone is in the 20s for the headpin shots except for When Trafton so far. And that's Sarah Wright. Just the left of the headpin. Left side candlepin corner. Minus the 8 pin, of course. And When Trafton was on the headpin with a light hit, but he takes a split. Spread eagle minus the 2. Sarah Wright on the 1-2 pocket. She drops everything but the 5 pin. When Trafton on his split. And he misses everything, unfortunately. Sarah Wright will take a 9 box, leaving 1 on the deck. When Trafton's fighting for something better than a 5, and he'll take a 7 for 23 after 3 for When Trafton, and 25 after 3 for Sarah Wright. Hey folks, do you like this content? You want to see more content that's like Candlepin Bowling? Check out a couple of YouTube channels, Facebook pages, and all that, including even a TikTok here and there. There's tiktok.com/@candlepinbowling, youtube.com/@candlepinbowlingnetwork. They also have an Instagram page. Also, check out Candlepin Corner and 3 Ball Spare on YouTube. There's also the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page, not only on Facebook, but also on YouTube, so check that out as well. And we'll go over a few more socials in just a little bit here. Sarah Wright has a 7 drop and a split, and so does When Trafton, just different pin arrangements. Sarah Wright's got the 4-5-7, and that's 4-5-7 goes for Sarah Wright. And When Trafton's got the 7-10-4 to contend with. Plenty of wood around the 4 and the 7. He's got to shoot at that. And it goes, and the ball almost comes back to take the 10, but it doesn't quite go for When Trafton. So Trafton for the 10 box. He'll take a 9. That's 32 after 4 for When Trafton, and 35 and a bonus after 4 for Sarah Wright. Hope this broadcast finds you well. Everyone involved here, from the bowlers to the staff you cannot see, all appreciate your viewership and interested in the world of Candlepin Bowling, especially those here at Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire. That's a 5 fill on Sarah Wright's spare. When Trafton was not on the headpin, drops 6. 1-2-4-10 for Trafton. Sarah Wright fires, and will punch 1. When Trafton's got an interesting array of the 1-2-4-10. Let's see if he could shoot this out. And will it take the 2? The 2 is the only one that doesn't fall. It gets touched, but nothing doing otherwise. Sarah Wright will take an 8 box. for 48 after 5. And Win Trafton, 9 or 10 is going to be. It'll be a 10 for Win Trafton for 42 after 5. So that will be the story for the half here. 42 after 5 for Win Trafton and 48 after 5 for Sarah Wright. Sarah Wright still in control of the total by 33, 459 to Trafton's 426. Sarah Wright has the game by 6, 48 to Trafton's 42. So let's move on, though, to the first half of the fifth and final game for Jordan Britton and Craig Powers. So, Craig Powers on your right, Jordan Britton on your left. Neither bowler on the head pin to open up. Craig Powers punches the 3, leaves the 1, the 7, the 9, and the 6. Jordan Britton is just off target. No mark for either bowler. Jordan Britton has 4,336 seasonal total pins. He's first in C North Division 1 and third place in the wild card. Powers will take out everything for a 10. Jordan Britton will take a 9. Jordan Britton has the 7th high Class C average at 108.4. Number 9th Class C total strikes at 20. He has the 8th Class C average strike fill at 8.68. The number 7th Class High Series at 593. Number 9th Class C total spares is Jordan Britton's at 86, and he has the 10th highest Class C average spare fill at 621. That's a 9 drop for Jordan Britton, and a split for Craig Powers. Both bowlers on the head pin. Craig Powers on the 4-5, 2, 7, 8, 10, and Craig Powers just punches the 2 and the 8. Jordan Britton, that's a spare though. It's a layup on the single for a spare for Jordan Britton for 19 and a bonus after 2. And that's a 6 box for Craig Powers, a frustrating one for sure. So again, check out these socials. Plenty of them all over whichever social platform you choose. YouTube is quite a popular one right now. We also have Candlepin Chat, Alley Chat, Candlepin Chat in particular on Facebook. Great community for discussing all things Candlepin, whatever it is. You can probably find your discussion there on Candlepin Chat on Facebook. Jordan Britton takes an 8 on his spare fill. And Powers is struggling just to get something going here. He's left with a 3-6-7. And Jordan Britton, no second spare in a row. Wood just doesn't kick over. Craig Powers will pin out for a 9. Jordan Britton will take a 10. 37 out of 3 for Britton and 25 after 3 for Powers. And that is confirmed. Again, Jordan Britton is in the hunt for a strike, and he's definitely not for a lack of trying. Sometimes the pins just don't fall. That's an 8 drop for Craig Powers. Jordan Britton drops 6, leaves the 1, 3, 6, 10 on the deck. Powers should be an easy spare for him, and it sure is. That's a spare for Craig Powers. 35 and a bonus after 4 for Powers. Jordan Britton will run down the right side 4 horsemen, though. Fantastic shots for both bowlers. For spares, 47 and a bonus for Britton, 35 and a bonus for Powers. Great pinning action. These two bowlers in particular are very close in the wild card, so whatever leads they can take on one another will definitely affect their positioning. And that's Craig Powers with a 9 drop on the split, on the head pin. And that's a split for Jordan Britton, unfortunately. It's a 7 drop. He's left with a 4-6-3. Craig Powers on the 6. Will he get another spare? Yes, he sure will. Perpendicular piece of wood assisted in the spare for Craig Powers. 54 and a bonus after 5. Jordan Britton wants to kick, and he gets the kick of a spare. 64 and a bonus in the 5th for Jordan Britton. Fantastic response. Both bowlers in these competitive 2 boxes in the 4th and the 5th. Matching each other for spares. 64 and a bonus for Jordan Britton and 54 and a bonus for Craig Powers. Fantastic action for both of our bowlers. Like I said, I think they know they're both close to each other in the standings, so I expect nothing less than some competition between the two of them. All right, so with that out of the way, we're going to start the final half for our first matchup here, Wynn Trafton and Sarah Wright. Phenomenal shots, though, again, for Craig Powers and Jordan Britton. Wynn Trafton starts out with a 7-drop and a split. 7-10-4. Sarah Wright's on the head pin, and she takes a spread eagle, 4-drop spread eagle. The traditional academic spread eagle. Wynn Trafton shooting at the 7-10-4. Trafton fires, and he kicks it for a spare. Highlight reel shot right there for Wynn Trafton. That's a very difficult shot. I know it might look easy in theory, but in practice, I invite you to try it out. Sarah Wright doesn't take any more of the bird. Sarah Wright's just trying to get some pins, and she'll take a 6 out of it. 54 after 6 for Sarah Wright, 52 and a bonus for Wynn Trafton. So also, folks, check out Candlepins for Cancer. That's candlepins4cancer.com. That's Al Johnson in the blue and Paul Grant in the red in the picture there. They run Candlepins for Cancer, an awesome charity organization for assisting folks in the candlepin bowling community in need of financial assistance for cancer treatments and all of that. Candlepins for Cancer is not only a donation-based organization, but also has candlepin bowling tournaments. So check those out. There should be upcoming roll-offs in the next few weeks. I believe the next set of roll-offs is at Riverwalk Lanes in Amesbury, Massachusetts. So poor Wynn Trafton had a 2 on his spare follow-up. But Wynn Trafton will pin it out for a 10. He didn't get a mark on the second ball. Sarah Wright, 1-5-8. She'll take the 1 and leave everything else for an 8. 62 and 7 for Wright, 64 and 7 for Trafton. A difference of 2 in the 7th in this 5th and final game. So before we go, I just want to thank a couple of folks, like our ACST committee members, such as our Commissioner Danny Finn, Class C Treasurer Anthony Karen. Karen also is great for the financial assistance for Class C, getting everyone straightened out and making sure all the prize pool money and stuff is all taken care of. Wynn Trafton with a 7-drop. And Sarah Wright with a split 6-drop, 4-6-2-10. Wynn Trafton's got the 7-10-6. I'd also like to thank Micah Imperato for our ACST stats and numbers. Our next-gen stats machine is Micah Imperato. I'd like to thank today Steve Abadili for coming out today, and that's a spare for Sarah Wright. By the way, hold that thought just a moment. When Trafton doesn't have a mark, he's just shooting at the 7. That's a 10 box for Wynn Trafton. That's 74 after 8 for Trafton. And 72 and a bonus for Sarah Wright. Yes, I'd like to thank Steve Abadili for his photography work today. He did a bunch of photography B-roll shots that I'll be incorporating into the stream for later. Some of his shots are already in the B-roll, but we're just adding a bit more. So I'd like to thank him. Check out all the stuff he does, particularly on Instagram. Stabadili Analog on Instagram. STABODEELY Analog on Instagram. So Sarah Wright with a 4-fill on her spare follow-up, and Wynn Trafton was on the head pin on the second ball. On the first ball, second ball leaves 3 on the deck after 2. Sarah Wright will take the left side of the bird. Seen a lot of spread eagles today. Frustrating shots. Wynn Trafton will pin it out for a 10. Again, every pin counts. Sarah Wright for a 7-box minimum and a 10-box maximum, and she'll take an 8. 84 and 9 for Sarah Wright. 84 and 9 for Wynn Trafton. We have a game, folks. We have a tie game in the 5th. In the total, Sarah Wright still has 27-point lead, so she still could take 4 points, but Wynn Trafton could effectively take a triple strike, more or less. Then he can take it, but I think it's going to mostly be the total in Sarah Wright's favor at this point. When Trafton... Yep, that will definitely be the total for Sarah Wright at this point. When Trafton drops 6 on the head pin. That's a split. Sarah Wright doesn't hit the head pin, but has a better leave than when Trafton. Trafton has the 4, 6, 7, 9 that he's shooting at. And he'll take 1, leave 3, 4, 6, 7. Sarah Wright shooting at the 1, 3, 6, 8. We'll leave the 6 and the 8 on the deck. When Trafton shooting for a 10 box. And he'll take a 9. Sarah Wright on the 6 and the 8. We'll leave 1 for a 9. And I believe it's going to be a tie of 93, and that's what the scoreboard down there has, along with mine. So yes, tie game for Sarah Wright and Win Trafton in the 5th. So my goodness, so before we factor in the total pinfall, our bowlers have taken 5 points apiece, but Sarah Wright will be taking those last 4 as she takes the total by 27, 504 to Win Trafton's 477. It'll be 9 points for Sarah Wright and 5 points for Win Trafton today. But we'll assess that at the end of the match once everyone's all done, but that's the tentative final score for Wright and Trafton. 504 for Wright, 477 for Trafton. So we're saying hello once again to Jordan Britton and Craig Powers for the final time today. And that's, wow, that's a interesting shot for Jordan Britton on the head pin. It's a split. It's a drop of 5. It's a 4 fill for Craig Powers all the while. No mark for Jordan Britton. He's left with 1 on the deck. Craig Powers trying to convert for a spare, but he can't quite do it. He's left with the 5, the 8, and the 9. Both bowlers can't get their third spares in a row, but Jordan Britton will definitely attempt to pin it out, at least for a 10, and he will. Craig Powers will take an 8. So I hope this, folks, I hope this was a pleasant viewing experience for you. If you enjoyed what you saw and want to see more, I invite you to strike, comment, and subscribe to the multiverse of Candlepin Bowling, such as the Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour page on Facebook and on YouTube, the Candlepin chat group on Facebook. Neither bowlers on head pins here, by the way. There's Candlepin Corner on YouTube, at Candlepin Bowling on TikTok. There's Outrun the Bear on Facebook and Instagram, Alley Chat on YouTube, Wolfman12395 on YouTube for uploads of classic Candlepin matches of yesteryear, the Candlepin Bowling channel on YouTube, the Ripping the Rack podcast on YouTube, the Approach podcast. There's Tony Levesque on YouTube, Charlie Collins on TikTok. There's the 3-Ball Spare Conglomerate on YouTube as well. Definitely check it out for all of your Candlepin bowling needs. We've definitely got you covered in every way possible. That's a 9 box for both of our bowlers, 88 and 7 for Britton and 75 and 7 for Craig Powers. Yeah. Oh no, I haven't looked yet. Yeah. Sorry. I'll check in just a few here. And Jordan Britton on the head pin. He's dropping 9. Leaves the 6 on the deck. And Craig Powers also drops 9, leaves the 5 on the deck. Look at that leaning pin also. That leaning pin we've seen a few times today, but it doesn't matter. Jordan Britton does get it this time. Craig Powers on the 5 pin, single pin spare. It's a spare for both of our bowlers. 85 in 8 for Craig Powers, 98 in 8 for Jordan Britton, and they're not done yet. They're both on fills with those spares. 3 marks for Craig Powers this game, 4 marks for Jordan Britton this game. And that's a 7 fill for Jordan Britton on the head pin. Left side triangle. Craig Powers. It's a late falling 6 fill for Craig Powers, not on the head pin. I'm going to zoom in on this because Jordan Britton's got a piece of wood interweaved between the triangle as well as a cap. Another one with a cap facing us, but it doesn't matter. He takes it. I was a little interested in how that pinfall was going to go, and Craig Powers frustrated with that shot. He hit it right, but couldn't quite get it. Needed that one to keep pace with Jordan Britton. Jordan Britton currently at 115 and a bonus in the 9th. Craig Powers is at 91 in 8. But Craig Powers will pin it out for a 10. Wasn't for lack of trying, though. 101 and 9 for Craig Powers. Jordan Britton at 115 and a bonus in 9. That's Dr. Powers on your left in the white and Jordan Britton in the maroon on the right. Excuse me, Dr. Powers on the left. And Jordan Britton, will he get a strike? It goes! And fun fact, that was the strike that Jordan Britton didn't have all match, and he was the only one without one. But he sneaks it in right at the very end. So Jordan Britton, every bowler on the board for a strike today. Jordan Britton just getting in there just in time. 1 strike apiece for all 4 bowlers. Jordan Britton, though, is the king of the spares today. 12 spares. With Craig Powers in 3rd place, Sarah Wright in 2nd place. Well, except that is another spare for Craig Powers. I guess all I have to do is just start talking about the stats for them to suddenly be like, hey, wait a minute, let's change that. So they're both on marks. Britton is at 135 and a bonus. 2 balls. He could get to 155 if he gets 2 more strikes here. Never say never. Jordan Britton fires on a strike. Oh, a little bit on the head pin, a little bit, but the pins are still mixing. That was a great fill so far of 8 so far. 143 and counting for Jordan Britton. Craig Powers is on the head pin, and he drops 7. For a 118 game 5 for Craig Powers, and that's a 9 fill for Jordan Britton. 144 for Jordan Britton. And 118 for Craig Powers. I was just making sure that was confirmed. For a 5-game total of 548 for Jordan Britton. Victorious over Craig Powers in the grand total pinfall. Craig Powers with 534. Jordan Britton took the 5th game by 26, 144 to Craig Powers' 118, and took the total by 14, 548 to Craig Powers' 534. So I believe, actually, it's going to be a fairly even split in terms of the grand total pinfall. My goodness. So just bear with me one moment just to prepare the final stats here. So yes, Jordan Britton will take 8 points to Craig Powers' 6. 548 to 534. Craig Powers was in the driver's seat until the 3rd game, and that was when Jordan Britton turned on the Jets for games 4 or 5 as well as the total. Meanwhile, for Win Trafton and Sarah Wright, Win Trafton takes 5, Sarah Wright takes 9. They tied in the 5th game. They were kind of passing the lead back and forth all throughout the day. But in the end, Win Trafton couldn't quite take the total from Sarah Wright and tied in the 5th game, so that's why it's 5 points for Trafton and 9 points for Sarah Wright. Jordan Britton, 8 points to Powers' 6. 548 to 534, respectively. Every bowler had a strike today. The king of the spares was Jordan Britton, with both Craig Powers and Sarah Wright tied for 2nd place for the spares. And then Win Trafton just with 5 spares. In terms of the headpin shots, it would appear that both Craig Powers and Jordan Britton tied at 28 for 50 today. Sarah Wright had 27 for 50, and Win Trafton was 24 for 50. And anyways, so at the end of everything else, Win Trafton will move to 52 and 88. Sarah Wright will move to 63 and 63. Jordan Britton, 78, 48. And Craig Powers goes to 44 and 26. So that should just about do it from us. For Leda Lanes in Nashua, New Hampshire, I've been Steve Kelly. For Win Trafton, Sarah Wright, Jordan Britton, Craig Powers, and all the staff at Leda Lanes. Have a great one, everybody. We'll see you at the next Atlantic Candlepin Singles Tour.